Hello and welcome to another episode of the PintSizeAnalyze podcast. In today's episode, I am going to be discussing the Mariners' recent yesterday's 6-1 win over the San Diego Padres. They won 2-0 the day before as well, and the Mariners have currently won 7 games in a row. So it's a very, very exciting time to be a Seattle Mariners fan. They are currently I need to get this tab open right now, just for this. Okay, wildcard standings. Here we go, and this is just updated with Toronto and and the Astros losing earlier today. The Mariners are now 1.5 games out of a playoff position, behind the third wildcard spot. Toronto lost today to the Guardians, and then Houston lost to the Orioles earlier today, so the Mariners gained a half game in the standings on both Toronto and Houston. Obviously, a half game in playoff position in the first place, and they didn't even play today. So that's how hot this team is. They're literally gaining ground on days that they aren't even playing. It feels like everything. That's not how hot they are, but it feels like everything's going right. They're gaining ground on days that they're not even playing. But so that was very, very exciting. But also the number one storyline from yesterday's game was the Major League debut of the 2026 overall Major League Baseball amateur draft selection, Emerson Hancock. He made his Major League debut yesterday. He pitched to let's go to the box score first. He pitched to a line of 5 innings pitched, giving up only 2 hits, 1 run. That run was earned. He had 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. So definitely a shaky outing with base runners, but overall still he was very, very effective and, put the team in a position to win, which is what they ended up doing. So he did exactly what was necessary. If we go to his Fangraphs page, though, we can check real quick. So this was just... This is his Fangraphs page from this year. Let's go. So he's pitched in almost 100 innings, almost exact same amount of innings last year in Double-A. 98 innings, giving up 9.83 K per 9, 3.49 strikeouts per 9. One thing that was interesting, though, for sure, is you could see the walk number stayed the same relatively from last year, but the strikeout went up by almost 1.5 per inning, or per 9, I mean. So, and per inning. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, basically one more strikeout inning, for sure. And then if we go to the home runs per 9, it also dropped. And then but if we go right here to advanced, I'm trying to find the K percentage right here. So yeah, we could see that last year was around 22.3%, and then this year it's up to 26%, which is a lot better. And then last year was at exactly 9.2%. This year, 9.2%. And then also the K minus walk percentage, which is a really great statistic that I like to look at, which just is subtracting how many, like, a pitcher's walk percentage from a K percentage, and we have seen that also has gone up 13.7% this year in Double-A. So that's very, very good. In his first start yesterday, also we can go right here. He had in 14 batted ball events, he only had an average exit velocity of 83.6 miles per hour, which is a really, really good sign to see. Only 5 hard hit balls and no barrels, nothing like that. So he limited the contact that he faced really, really well yesterday. He's very, very good at limiting hard contact and limiting good contact, and that's exactly what he did. Now, as for the Padres, Yu Darvish started the game. He ended up going 6 innings, giving up 6 hits, 1 run. That run was earned. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and then Robert Suarez pitched an inning, and then Steven Wilson pitched 2/3 of an inning, and then Cosgrove pitched third of an inning for the Mariners. Justin Topa started the 6th, struck out got the first batter out, and then gave up a hit and a walk. And then Gabe Spire came in, went through those 2 batters. Trent Thornton pitched a scoreless 7th, and then Matt Brash pitched a scoreless 8th. He has been looking very, very good recently. His season ERA is down to just 3.08, and then Isaiah Campbell pitched a scoreless 9th. There was a walk and a hit in that, but he also had 2 strikeouts. I wanted to look at Brash's numbers real quick, so let's check that out right now, because I feel like it's kind of important to highlight the recent changes that he's been, some of the recent changes in his numbers. I really wanted to highlight that. So if we go right here to game log, and I believe that it was June 7th was the day that I kind of noticed that Brash had started throwing his cutter, if you remember. from some episodes back. And so let's check. Yeah. So since that day of June 7th, he currently has a 2.05 ERA, 1.86 FIP, 3.29 xFIP. Wow, kind of an interesting discrepancy between the FIP and xFIP for sure. And then if we go to advanced during that time, we'll see that he has a 35% walk or strikeout percentage, which is actually lower than you might expect. 11% walk rate, 24.1% strikeout minus walk rate. And then if we go to the batted ball section, which I'm looking for, it is the 3.3 Sierra, which is what I'm looking for. And if you were unaware, Brash actually has a higher Sierra, I believe, over his entire season. Yeah, a 2.60 Sierra. Throughout his entire season, rather than just that little stretch since June 7th, which actually is at 2 months now, over 2 months now. So it's maybe not as small of a stretch as it was when I first started this podcast back in June, and it had just been a few outings since he had started throwing that cutter, but much, much different now. And then if we go to the box score for the Mariners, we'll see that J.P. Crawford, he went 1 for 3 with a hit. It was an RBI. The unfortunate thing is that in the top of the 5th or 6th inning, I believe, he had kind of an odd collision with Eugenio Suarez, where they both were going for a ground ball, and Eugenio Suarez ended up fielding the ground ball and making the play. He got the runner out at first. But unfortunately, J.P. Crawford, kind of like crashed into Suarez, into like his back, and kind of maybe potentially had a concussion. He stayed in the game, but was later removed and pitch hit for by Dylan Moore, who ended up getting a hit. That was not because of like a pinch hitting situation. That was not because they were trying to platoon JP. That was because he was injured. So definitely not a great thing. And then Julio went 1 for 4 as well. He went 0 for 4, but he did have a walk in the bottom of the 8th. And then Eugenio Suarez went 2 for 4. He continued staying hot. It was Cal Raleigh, though, who in the bottom of the 8th had a 450-foot, 110 mile an hour, or 109.7 mile an hour off the bat. We can check it right here. Moonshot that went into the upper, like, I believe it went into the upper deck in right. If not, it went off the facing, like the very, very top of the facing of the Hit It Here Cafe. It was an absolute moonshot. One of the like farthest hit baseballs I've ever seen to that area. Yes, exactly. It was 109.7. It was obviously barreled. 1,000 expected batting average. There's a home run in 30 out of 30 parks. Not surprising when it goes 450 feet. Of course, it's a home run in every single baseball park or at every MLB park. Teoscar Hernandez actually had the highest exit velocity. We ended up getting thrown out on this play, though, trying to stretch into a double. The Mariners really, really struggled until the bottom of the 8th to start getting runners on. As you can see right here, it was a scoreless tie from the 3rd through the bottom of the 5th. From the bottom of the 3rd to the bottom of the 8th until the Mariners put up 5 in the bottom of the 8th. But it was really just kind of a game where they were getting, I believe they had a base runner in all of these innings, but they just were not scoring. In fact, they had multiple base runners in the 7th and the 6th, I believe, but just couldn't score. But that's fault of the offense. Obviously, the pitching staff, was amazing. And even that first run that happened in the first place, they'd kind of sacrificed the run. It was a fielder's choice, and they took the out at first, knowing that they could get that run back, which they eventually did, obviously, in the bottom of the 3rd. So it was really, really exciting because it just felt like the pitching staff continued to pitch excellent, only giving up 1 run over 2 games combined over 18 innings to a lineup like the Padres with, their lethal superstar power, Tatis, Soto, Machado, Bogarts. We know what those 4 are capable of doing. And so for them to go, I believe Tatis, Machado, and Soto went something like a combined 0 for 22. And then on Tuesday night as well, we saw Logan Gilbert become the first right-handed pitcher to ever strike out Soto 3 times. And it was also the first golden sombrero of Soto's career ever. I also am like a really, really big Soto fan. I just love how much he walks and stuff. I think a player who gets on base as often as he does, I think that skill set is so cool. And it was very, very ironic that he ended up striking out 4 times the other day. I was not expecting to see that. If anything, you could expect to see a walk, but not a strikeout, because that's literally more likely with Soto, despite how rare that is in today's game. So then I wanted to go to the player breakdown for Hancock, and we'll see that right there. So we can see he had through the sinker 52 times, slider 20, change at 15. He got how many? He got 8 whiffs on the sinker, 2 whiffs on the slider, and then 1 whiff on the 1 whiff on the changeup. 27% called strike or whiff rate on the sinker, 35% on the slider, and then 13% on the changeup. The zone percentage was good for all pitches. Looked like he was commanding the ball decently well, about as well as you'd expect a player to command in their first ever major league start. Naturally there's going to be some jitters that come along with that, but it felt like he, had good command, and he started to kind of settle in, as the game went on, which is unsurprising. And as I mentioned before, the hard contact that he limited throughout the entire game, just having an average exit velocity of 83.6 is an excellent, excellent sign. The velocity looked about normal for him. He averages about 90, 93, 94 on his fastball, and that's exactly where his sinker was yesterday. Off speed and breaking looked normal too. The velocities looked normal. And then I wanted to look out Isaiah Campbell, who has been pitching really, really well. He pitched another scoreless inning last night. I wanted to go to his Fangraphs page because he's made his major league debut this year. It's been in only 10 innings, but he has a 2.61 ERA, 4.59 expected ERA, 3.94 FIP, and then 4.75 xFIP. So obviously the expected numbers don't look as great, but he has still pitched really, really effectively. A 2.61 ERA is an effective pitcher, and in those 10 innings, he's only given up, a few runs. Just 3 runs in 10 a third major league innings now. One thing that's been good too is the strikeout rate. We know he has a lot of really, really good strikeout stuff, and the strikeout stuff has kind of been there. We've seen that 10.45 K per 9. One thing that we would obviously like to see maybe with a pitcher like Campbell is him lowering the walk rate, the walk percentage, but also there's a reason why he's a reliever in the first place. It's because he's going to walk some people, so that's kind of expected. 84.9% left on base percentage will definitely positively impact that. Fastball velocities look good too, 95, which was what he was averaging in AA. But I just wanted to give a little overview of how he's performed, because I think that it's important to highlight another arm that has come up from AA and been a contributor, a real contributor for the Mariners this year. So that was about it for this episode. But I just wanted to give that little recap. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope each and every single one of you have a great rest of your day, and go Mariners. Thank you.